I'm Dean McKnight, and welcome to another edition of Taking Back Our Neighborhoods, a community outreach program of Operation Our Town. Before we begin, perhaps we should remember for just a minute how Operation Our Town came into being. Do you remember a couple years ago when everybody was concerned about the front page stories of crime and drug abuse, how we were concerned about gangs spreading throughout the neighborhoods and what the future would hold? Well, Operation Our Town is a coalition of businesses and community outreach programs to bring together law enforcement with proven techniques that will try to fight crime and prevent the use of drugs in our communities. And today we're joined with some people that are engaged in that very battle. This morning we're going to talk about northern Blair County, kind of an interesting area in our community, and I'm going to start with Sue. Sue, tell us who you are and what you represent with Operation Our Town.
Well, my name is Sue Griep, and I am the Director of the Victim Witness Program for the District Attorney's Office, and I am also the President of the Tyrone Events and Promotions Committee.
Thank you. Jim?
My name is Jim Kilmartin, and I'm the Executive Director of Joshua House Community Center in Tyrone, and also a business manager for Keystone Business Support, and I'm the present chair of the Operation Our Town Northern Blair Roundtable.
Wow. Steve?
I'm Steve Gildea. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Tyrone Hospital, and I participate on the Northern Blair Roundtable with Jim and Sue as well.
And now the real chief, Chief John?
I'm Chief John Romeo. I'm the Borough Chief of Tyrone, and I also participate in the Northern Blair Roundtable too.
Okay, welcome each of you. Tell me, let's start with Jim, you're the chairman. How did the Northern Blair County Roundtable get started?
Well, from the success of Operation Our Town throughout the county, really spurred an interest within numerous business individuals and organizations in Tyrone and all of Northern Blair. And probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, there was a gathering of business people and community civic organizations that said, we want to do something like this. And we pulled together Mr. Fiore and a couple others and asked them to come and speak about it and how that could translate into impact in our small community. We see the impact, and we knew the impact that it was having throughout the county, but then how could we make something like this happen and then transition into our small community?
Wow. And how many members are there on the roundtable?
Regularly with our monthly meetings, we probably are in the 20 range, 20, 25 people.
Okay. John, I guess this would be a natural for you to participate in as the head of the police department.
Yes, we're actively involved, like in the community. You know, Tyrone is a small knit community and stuff. Everyone seems to get involved, and I think it's natural for the police to be just as much involved as, say, the churches, the civic groups, and stuff, or in the hospital, because we play an important part too. Okay.
And Steve, how about the hospital?
Well, the hospital has an important role in the community, and we're trying to get more and more active with community events, with providing support for initiatives that Sue and the Chief and Jim are embarking upon in the community. And we also see the aftermath of drug problems at the hospital. So we're very interested in helping to do things to prevent drug overdoses and incidents of crime that occurs. So we're trying to get more and more involved in the community, and that's our part, is to actively participate in this effort.
Yeah. And Sue, I get a sense you're part of the District Attorney's Office, but you're also working with the Roundtable in the Tyrone area and events and things of that nature. Do you live in the Tyrone area?
Yes, I'm a native. I recently moved back, so it was important for me to get back involved in the community and help in any way I can. Foster growth and healthy activities.
Been exciting?
It has been. It's better than I dreamed it to be, to move back into my home area.
I'll tell you, I'm excited about the Tyrone area. You drive through there, the place is beautiful. If you haven't driven through Tyrone lately, folks, you ought to do that. It's an eye-opening experience. Tell me what the Roundtable's accomplished. Let's start with you, Steve.
Well, a couple of the accomplishments are, and I'm going to defer to Chief Romeo to talk about it, but the Neighborhood Watch program in Tyrone has been initiated, and I know there's a countywide effort associated with that. We've also had a couple of other initiatives with community cleanup days and and with a community garden. We're attempting to get a community garden. And I'm looking to Jim because Jim can talk more about the different task forces that have been started.
Yeah, so we've focused on a couple of different areas, one being the neighborhood watch, of getting that initiated and kicked off again. Community garden, there's been a lot of interest in that, and they've been moving forward in where the food that they're going to produce, they're going to give to the local food bank. We've done several Tyrone cleanup days where this past year we had 100 people get involved in that, where we just canvassed the whole community of cleaning up, and that was great. And then one of the other areas that we're going to work towards is a recreation end. We haven't done too much with that yet, but that'll progress as well.
Okay, and that plays into Sue's area of events, and am I right, Sue?
Yes, it's not just Tyrone Events and Promotions that provide activities in the community. It seems like there's so many people that want to join forces to help us work together to, put Tyrone on the map, that it's a great place to come and spend the afternoon for an event. And, we're bringing people from all different areas into town and see what we have. And people are moving back because they're seeing good things.
Well, they should see good things. Good things are happening. John, tell me about how has this affected the operations of the police department? Has it made your job easier, tougher?
Well, I think it has, because we've had cooperation from, like I said, from so many different groups. And one of the big things in Tyrone and stuff are some of the churches and stuff, like Church of the Brethren. They have been big supporters of the Borough Police Department. They have had for the last 5 or 6 years campaigns and stuff where they with donation stuff for the kids, work on special projects and stuff throughout the springtime, summertime, and then like in August and September the police department comes in and does presentations for the church groups about drug education and stuff. We're trying to hit the youth and stuff at the young age and stuff in all different groups and stuff. And like I said, it's good to have the community support because we can't do everything, and that was why the one thing with the neighborhood watch group. We started it last year about this time. It was like a concept. We kind of jumped ahead of Operation Our Time because we didn't know they were working on it at the same time. But we kind of started ours in the planning stages and stuff, and we kicked it off in January. And it's trying to get everyone together in a stuffer. And like I said, we've had 3 meetings. We're going to have a 4th meeting coming up here August 22nd at the Borough building to try to get some more watch members and watch leaders and try to get them involved in the community. So it has helped.
That's wonderful. If you drive through Tyrone, it's not hard to realize that it seems to be like little different communities. As you come from the south to the north, you drive through that area before you come under the culverts, and that's like, it seems to be a little community. And then you come into the downtown, and then you start up, is it 458 or something that goes
453.
up? 453 that goes up the mountain, and you've got areas back in there. It's pretty widespread.
Yes, that's why we've had, like, when we started out the watch group concept, we have like 4 different areas. The one area where you're talking about coming in from Pizza Hut, that's the one area. The downtown business area is the second area. The third area is up around Sheets, and the 4th area swings back around Clay Avenue and High School and Pizza Hut. So there's like 4 separate areas in town.
Okay. What projects are the Roundtable working on, Jim?
Well, we're working the Neighborhood Watch is definitely one of those. The community garden is a project that's been underway. There's a large group and of interest to get this going, and we've been looking for different properties where we can pull together and have a community garden. But gosh, when we had our one meeting for a community-wide meeting, there was probably 25 people just wanting to get involved in that, and that's really good. And then yearly, every spring, we've been doing a Tyrone cleanup day where we're just going to canvass the community and be a big part in cleaning up. You're talking about how it's changing, and things like this is what's making it change. Not just the physical appearance, but the atmosphere and the attitude within the community. And we want people to take pride in Tyrone. And there's been a big change in the drug culture over the last number of years, and where the drug culture has been really getting pushed out of our community. And the chief and the police department have done a tremendous job. But it's also these other organizations that are coming together. So Operation Our Town is such a big part of that, because as we gather together as organizations, businesses, civic organizations, we're pulling together with a common vision and purpose that we want to take back our community. Our community is special to us, and so we want to get it cleaned up, and we want to get the junk out of our town.
Jim, I apologize. I've been so excited about your role as the chairperson of the Roundtable that I had neglected to talk about the Joshua House. That's really what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I do.
What do they do?
Joshua House is a community center focused on youth. It started in 1998, and so it's developed and matured over the years, but it works with kids, teens, young adults, and primarily through academics, athletics, and faith. And from those components, we want to help be a community center, a safe haven for kids to come, but then also help them get involved in the community, and through, like I said, the academics, the athletics, and the faith aspect.
How many people participate?
Well, it all depends on what programs we do, but our summer camps, which are just finishing up, we had 130 kids come through that, kids and teenagers, where they did basketball camp, a science camp, outdoor adventure camp, and then we sent a dozen teenagers into Baltimore, into the inner city as a summer week, a week-long service missions project, and then they come back and want to do projects then in Tyrone. And then we do other things. We do a basketball league, a hockey league, and lots of sports activities, as well as a big event we had this summer called Hoops Fest.
Wow. Now, do grants from Operation Our Town help in these activities? Yeah,
grants from Operation Our Town have been key for us to expand what we want to do and what we've been able to do, where they've been able to help us specifically with those summer camps, with scholarships and the expansion there of the amount of kids that we're able to reach. And then also this year we're able to utilize some of that to send some of those kids into Baltimore and do some inner city work, and then in return, then they want to do projects back home.
Wow, that has to be exciting to see a different lifestyle. And when you go into the inner city, it is a different lifestyle. John, you've probably seen examples of that. And how do you feel about the Tyrone and the attitude of the people? Are they participating in the neighborhood watch programs? Are they excited?
We've had, like I said, a group of probably about 20 to 25 people that have gotten actively involved in the Neighborhood Watch program. Like I said, it has been tough because, like I said, we started it up, like I said, in January. There's a lot going on, obviously, and stuff. People have different things to do and stuff. But like I said, we're trying to get just both the younger people, the middle age, and the elderly population and stuff all involved and stuff. Because, like I said, the more eyes we have in the stuff for the better. There have been some areas and stuff in town, up like around Cameron Avenue. They've been very active. Up around the Sheet Store and Logan Avenue and stuff, they've been very interested. And also the PA House. That's where we first started out. That's where we had the first meetings and stuff for it had been in the fall of last year. And that's where we started off with the kickoff event. So they've shown a lot of interest in stuff at the towers right in the center of town because they have the best bird's eye view of the whole town. They can sit up there on the 6th, 7th floor and stuff, and they can watch almost anything on that part of town and stuff while they're retired, watching TV. They can look outside, they see something, they can call the police.
As a retired person, I can tell you that we have nothing better to do than to look around and see what the neighbors are doing. And that's wonderful that they're participating. And I'll tell you, 25 people, if you've got 25 people in a program that you've just initiated, that's a pretty good start.
Yes, it is. And like I said, they have a core group when, like I said, 7, 8, 9 people show up from one certain part of town. That's what's nice to have, because you have 8, 9, 10 people talking about the same things and stuff, and they kind of know each other. That's the whole concept. Get the neighborhoods to know each other.
Struck by a statistic I heard the other day that only like 30% of the eligible voters will actually vote in any one election. And you think, the first thought was what a small number of participation, but then you hear something like that and you say, we started this program with 20. But if those 25 people are committed and active, they may be better than having 50 people that just come to the meetings.
Yes. And I think with all the advertising we do in the software through WRTN, Daily Herald, the Altoona Mirror, through the Borough website, I think the best way to get the word out is word of mouth. That seems to be the way everything kind of communicates through Tyrone, is word of mouth. So like I said, I think these people come into the meetings, they talk about it, they tell their neighbors, and they tell someone else, and that's how the word's going to get out.
That's wonderful. Steve, how does Operation Our Town affect the hospital? Do you get grants from them, or how do you work with Operation Our Town?
Well, we haven't received any grant money. We haven't applied for any yet, but we're working to support Jim and the chief in their efforts, and we're starting to see the positive effects of that, because we're not seeing we're seeing more prescription drug overdoses and issues related to prescription drugs, not so much. No heroin. The blizzard uses, it seems to be down, and I think a lot of that is as a result of the efforts that the chief and the community are taking forth upon. The visibility that the police force has in Tyrone is now really good. I'll let the chief talk about his bicycle patrols and things, but it's having a big impact. And the fact that the community, he was talking about the neighborhood watch, the fact that the community wants to take an active role in starting to push out the pushers, if you will. I think that's starting to have just a tremendous impact on the life in Tyrone, on the community life. It's a very, very positive, I've seen it in the past 3 years, a very positive direction that the whole Tyrone community is headed in, Dean. It's just remarkable to see almost a renaissance in Tyrone of the positive attitudes and the things that Sue and her Events and Visitors Bureau work on with the St. Patrick's Day Festival. That's becoming a bigger and bigger festival every March. And Jim's Hoop Fest, I was there a few weeks ago, 190 teams, and just people come from all over the region to that. Just all these positive vibes that are happening in Tyrone. It's a really, really great thing to experience. And the hospital's right in the middle of it. We want to be there to support all that.
Did you notice how my eyes lit up when he talked about food? What does that tell you about me? Anyhow, Sue, I'm going to switch hats here for just a minute and talk about the district attorney's office. Steve mentioned prescription drugs. We had a show on prescription drugs, and I was shocked to learn that has become a major area of concern. And how's the district attorney's office deal with that?
Well, Operation Our Town does fund a drug prosecutor, who is fantastic at his job and is in the forefront of every area of the county. And our district attorney is very proactive when it comes to the drug problem. And we have many members of the DA's office on different boards that are out and about, and he's not going to take the drug problem lightly. We love Blair County. He loves Blair County. Our office loves Blair County, and we want Blair County to be something to be proud of. So with the help of Operation Our Town, DA's office is joining forces with them to get the job done.
Yeah. I'm going to take advantage of this moment to talk to everyone who's taking prescription medication, and particularly people in my age group. Don't leave drugs lay around. I was amazed at the things that the program talked about on prescription drug abuse, that don't put temptation in people's way. If you're not going to use the drug, discard it properly and do the things you need to do to make our communities better. And it sounds so simple, just taking care of the drugs that I'm not going to use, but it becomes an important fact of what's going on. And Jim, are you satisfied with the direction they're going in?
Yeah, I'm excited. We have a great opportunity ahead, and one of the great things about this roundtable is it pulls together so many different organizations that we're able to keep moving forward, like having the hospital involved, having the borough involved, having the Chamber of Commerce involved, having the different businesses like Harry Sickler's and Albemarle and the Paper Mill and Gardeners, and you can just go down the list of all these great organizations and businesses, and then all the different nonprofits and civic group. It's really a rallying point for us, where maybe the chamber has a specific area and another organization has a specific area, but this group is really unique in the way that it's a rallying point for the whole community, the church community, the business community, the civics community, and I'm very excited. So we have a great opportunity ahead of us.
Jim, that's terrific. We're going to be back in just a moment. We're going to spend a couple of minutes talking to Chief John Romeo about what law enforcement is doing in Tyrone.
Operation Our Town is reaching out into our community every day, helping groups like the Gloria Gates Foundation. They received a grant in 2009 from Operation Our Town to help fund their program, which was established more than 10 years ago.
We now have children who've gone through our program and are out of high school, and they're young adults, and they're coming back and they're telling us the impact our after-school program had on them. So we know that we are reaching the kids.
The Gloria Gates Foundation prides itself on teaching the children lessons that will stay with them throughout their life.
When things get better in their life and they look back, then sometimes we get a note and say, I remember what you tried to teach me, thank you.
Operation Our Town, creating community-minded citizens for a better tomorrow.
We're back. Thank you for being with us today. I'd like to turn to Chief John Romeo. Chief, tell us a little bit about your background in law enforcement.
Well, I spent 22 and a half years with the state police and stuff, retired last January. I got an opportunity to apply for the Tyrone job, which I did, and I got the job. I'm very thankful of it. So I have, like I said, the law enforcement experience, like a military experience. I graduated from IUP with a degree in criminology back in 1983. Then I spent 3 years of active duty service overseas. So I have a lot of experience and stuff for coming to Tyrone and stuff. I think it's been very helpful.
What kind of problems are you facing in the northern Blair County area?
Well, I think it's a problem. I think it's across America as a whole. You know, we're a small community and stuff, but we see it. There is a kind of a higher unemployment rate in that 18 to 25 to 30-year-old category of the population out there. Obviously, if they're not working, they're getting involved in maybe alcohol abuse, drug abuse, which is the prescription drugs, and they're committing crimes. And we see the same people in a stuffer. They're involved multiple times, stuffer, in a short period of time, getting arrested and rearrested, going through the system, going to jail, coming back out in a stuffer. And it seems like I said, by not finding a job in a stuffer, it's kind of the catalyst for all the things that happen after that. So that's our biggest problem.
Yeah, I keep seeing the same names time after time in the paper, and you think, sooner or later, don't these people go to jail or something? And then you say, wait a minute, our prisons are already overcrowded. And I guess that's what the programs are about, is finding ways to keep these people off drugs once they're convicted.
Putting them in jail, like I said, isn't the only answer. It's a whole process. It's education. It's getting them into the system and then start. But like I said, putting the handcuffs on and dragging them off to jail isn't going to solve all the problems. You have to start at the younger generation and stuff and show them there are alternatives to criminal behavior, getting into drugs and that. You can do other things with your life.
How do I get involved? If I'm just a citizen in Tyrone and maybe I'm not a part of the Neighborhood Watch program, but I notice that my neighbor's house has some unusual activity or something. How do I get involved? What can I do?
Well, you can call the Push Out the Pusher phone number, which is countywide and stuff, which is supported by Operation Our Town. You can call the borough office at 684-1365. That's the police department. Or you can call 911. If something's in progress and it's occurring right then and there, call 911 and they can dispatch a police officer, or they can call a police officer and we can respond to that location.
I'll tell you, John, this is a personal comment. I'm glad that you're there. I don't think I've seen anything in the newspaper in the past year or so in regards to any conflicts going on in the community. You seem to have been a calming influence, at least in the fact that everybody's working together now. That's important, isn't it, to have the assistance of the local government officials?
I think it is. Like I said, the working with the borough officials, the mayor and the borough council, the past council and the new council and stuff, they've been very supportive of the police department. We had a borough manager that was in it for about a year and a half now there. He left here this year, but he was very supportive. He got us the additional officers and stuff there. The mayor, the council, the finance director, they all supported it. The borough had the money. And I think by putting extra police officers out on the street and stuff and hiring the right people, that has made the biggest impact.
And Sue, you work with it. When you're planning activities, sometimes coordinating with the police department becomes an important part of an activity, does it not?
It does. Coordinating with a lot of people in Tyrone makes a successful program. So it's very important. I mean, Operation Our Town lit the fire in Tyrone, and a strong police department allows us to provide great activities for the community and bring people in. People from the outside are now saying to us, boy, is Tyrone active, and allowing a teamwork effort in Tyrone has really allowed us to look at a schedule and provide more and more activities to our schedule during the year. We have 3 or 4 different events that we'd like to add to the year, and we can only do that through the cooperation of the hospital, the police department, Joshua House, and the Chamber of Commerce. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see that people want to come to Tyrone because our reputation is changing. Our attitude in Tyrone is changing. People are catching the fever that this is, a great place. They're not so worried about the crime element anymore. They're looking at us as, wow, you have so much community spirit, and there's always something to do in Tyrone. So that's exciting to be part of that.
It should be exciting. It's a nice town, and it seems to have a community feel about it. People are proud when they say, I'm from Tyrone. They don't apologize. They say, I'm from Tyrone. How about the young people, Jim? Do they sense this pride, or is this something that needs to be instilled in them as they progress in age?
It's an area that needs to be continually developed. When I started Joshua's, the thing that I heard over and over was, there's nothing to do here. I can't wait to get out of this community. I'm just going to go somewhere else. And it's really neat to be able to see if somebody went off to college or went off with their business for business things, they come back. They want to raise their families in our community, and it's a good community to do that. We still have to work on that and instill in that. But Tyrone's well known for the football program, and so there's a great spirit that's behind that, and the community, the young people, but things like the Irish Heritage Festival for St. Patrick's Day. People get involved in that, young and old alike. We have Hoops Fest that brought in over 2,000, close to 3,000 people into downtown, and young people are all involved in that. We've got other events going on, and you can see the excitement and the pride in the community. And what it comes down to is not just one organization doing it. It really comes down to all the organizations pulling together and saying, we want to make a difference, and that's what's happening.
And you are making a difference.
We are.
I organized events when I worked at my job before I retired, and I was shocked to realize that just because we were having an event didn't mean that we were like an island. The coordination with the police department in terms of crowd control or traffic control or whatever, John, that has to put some stress on your department. Does Operation Our Town provide any grants or anything that allows you to work with those organizations?
Like I said, the last 2 years, 2011, 2012, they've given us 2 grants, both years in Stafford for $5,000 each. And we've used that money in Stafford to put extra police officers out on the street during the high crime areas, high event areas in Stafford. We've used it for our bike patrol. We've used it for the officers to get involved in community policing, being out on the street, talking to residents about problems and stuff, and also asking for solutions to the problems. Because we just don't want problems and stuff, we want solutions to problems. So if we can get the community involved, and by discussing the problems and stuff, and then offering a solution and stuff, it makes our job easier. They'd be very supportive.
Tell me about these bicycle officers.
Well, like I said, we sent 2 officers to school back in May. The borough paid for the training and stuff. They went out to the Harrisburg Community College in Lancaster. It was a week-long course, believe it or not. They were riding between 15 and 20 miles a day on the bicycles, learning everything you could do about a bicycle. It's unbelievable. They had classroom work, and then they had a lot of, like I said, a lot of outside. Most of it was outside work, and it was very growing. It was 2 young officers and stuff. They're both 22 years old. And we also have 2 other officers and stuff that have not rode the bikes this year yet. But so we have 4 bike officers, and they've been. I think the bikes were donated several years ago. I think it was by Church of the Brethren. They got the money, and they started a bike program in Stafford. So they got good equipment. They like going out. It's a good exercise. They can go in some parts of the borough the police cars can't get to, and they can be like in a stealth environment. And they can call in a patrol car in Stafford to help them out. So they've been the residents are very excited about the bike patrol.
I guess that would keep you in good shape too, huh?
Yes, it does.
That's why I don't ride a bicycle. I don't want to get too healthy. My doctor will starve to death. Steve, speaking of doctors, how do you coordinate with the police department? Suppose somebody comes to the hospital and they're under the influence, or you think that they're demonstrating a drug addiction. Do you have an obligation to report to the police, or is that just? Tell me what happens.
I'll tell you, Dean, we have a terrific relationship with the Tyrone Borough Police Department. They are so supportive of the hospital. We're actually not in the borough. We're just outside the borough in Snyder Township, but Chief Romeo and his police officers have been just tremendously supportive. When we have an issue with a disruptive patient in the emergency room, they're responsive. They're there in minutes to give us a little bit of backup, to give the ED physicians and the nurses a little bit of support. So yeah, we do call them whenever we need them, and they're there for us. It's a terrific thing to have the ability to call them and have them come up and give us that assurance that we have the situation under control. So yeah, Dean, it's a good relationship. They do a great job.
That's wonderful. John, I have two brothers that are retired police officers, one state police and one city police, and I've always been very proud of their careers. But it was also a learning experience for me, because they were constantly reminding me that even though they were called law enforcement officers, that most of their job was kind of public relations, that they were trying to help people get better. They were trying to do things in the community. Are your officers involved in those kind of activities?
Well, that's the most important part of the police officer's job, is communication abilities, having good oral skills and written skills, being able to talk to people, listening to people. That's the biggest aspect you do in a stop. And like I said, by getting the officers involved in community policing, out on the streets, walking the streets, going to the different housing projects in town and stuff, or riding a bicycle and stuff, and listening to people and stuff. And like I said, when you're out and about, you're in uniform and stuff, you are a public figure. And like I said, you're expected to interact with people and stuff and do it professionally. And I think by the better skills you have in communication and stuff, you make your job easier, and you kind of break that there's sometimes there's a barrier between the police and the public. If you show a rapport in that stuff, or that you actually care in that stuff, and you want to get involved in that stuff, it makes that relationship a lot easier. So it is public relations is a very important part of the police officer's job.
Yeah, and I guess if they do it well, it makes everybody's job a little better. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's important. I see it working with kids in the community, and just the different areas that I've been involved in over the years. To have them out walking or on their bikes, they can get around and get involved in different things that you can't do whenever you have a police cruiser or vehicle. That kind of makes maybe kids or young adults that may be getting themselves into some mischief, they see the vehicle and they can go. But with the police, when they're on their bikes, it's a big deal. They can get in there, but then it actually makes it more personable too, because it's a little different whenever you're rolling down the window compared to just rolling up on your bike, and you can get off and you can talk to them, and it makes it more personal. And we want the police to be able to be a force and a presence, but there's also that important part of community relationship within the community.
And Sue, I guess you see this in your job.
Well, it's important to work with the police. I'm working with victims of crime. So to have a police officer start the ball rolling with their relationship with a victim, and when my office comes in and works with a victim, and the two of us are helping that victim get on the road to recovery, it helps victims become more cooperative, and we can prosecute our cases if we have a cooperative victim. So they're a major role, and they're a major role in helping me do my job as well.
It's interesting. In our last show, Pastor Paul Johnson was here, and he said the person who commits the crime that's very sad. But what is even worse is what is inflicted on the family, mm-hmm. and what they have to go through. And I guess each of you see that in some capacity in how a family deals with a loved one who has not available when they need it, or who's brought shame, or who's not providing it. It's got to be a very sad thing. You guys have a terrific job to do. We're going to come back in just a moment, and we're going to talk to Sue about all the activities she has planned. We're going to see if she has anything for my generation. Be back in just a moment.
Overlooking the city of Altoona, the Booker T. Washington Park had lost its luster. With that in mind, Operation Our Town and the Central Blair Recreation and Park Commission, in collaboration with the NAACP, set out to give back to the community.
The court was in bad shape. It needed some new backboards, rims. There was cracks. There was grass growing up onto the court itself.
New additions to the park will include a renovated basketball court, playground for families and friends, fitness stations, and a walking path.
I can't wait till everything is done so I can bring my grandkid to play in the playground.
Kids can use it for whatever their imagination brings them.
Members of the community already have noticed a difference.
Stuff for the kid to do to keep him out of trouble.
Welcome back. Sue, let's talk to you a little bit about the activities and promotions that you're doing down in Tyrone. Share with us what's going on.
Well, we think we touch a variety of different populations and interests in Tyrone, and one of our biggest events is Irish Heritage, which is a week-long event, and that celebrates Tyrone's ancestry with our roots in Ireland. And there's just a little bit of everybody in the community comes together. We lead it with the Events and Promotion Committee, but churches and the hospital and everybody gets involved. There's a parade, there's fireworks, there's an Irish band we bring from the outside in, and there's vendors, and it's just a great week. It's just a lot of fun, and people look forward to it, and we're pulling people from all State College, Du Bois, Brookville, Clarion, Pittsburgh area, because we're the only type of Irish festival in the area for miles around. So people are catching the fever for that event. Then after March, we offered a new event this year, which was Faith Day, which was just brought the community together with people to worship together and enjoy some good Christian music and vendors, and we had children's games, we had an archery competition, we had Joshua House ran a 5K, 10K for us, so that was a first-time event, and it just was popular enough that we're going to offer it again next year. And then we just took over Tyrone Community Days at Del Grosso Park, which seemed to work real well, so I think that's our baby again next year, and Joshua House jumps in and helps us with that. Then we have, Doggy Dash, Dog Days of Summer. So everybody brings their dog and enjoys a day of activities and a 5K run for that. And then we head into Christmas. We have a soup sampling, a crafts fair, a parade. So there's a lot of things going on throughout the year. And we're going to think about a couple more things. And we have music in the park, and we want to offer Fred Waring Day yet. And we want to do a chocolate festival, and we're looking at a Heroes Day for military and everyday heroes.
Wow, that sounds wonderful.
So with the teamwork effort here with Operation Our Town and the police and Joshua House, we have a good basis to keep offering different activities.
Yeah, just on Sunday, my wife and I drove up past, is it called Reservoir Park?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What a beautiful facility. Can you guys take advantage of that?
We had Faith Day there this year, which was a lovely venue to be able to offer the stage and the pavilions, and the race went around the park. So it was just a perfect spot to do that event. So.
Now, is that part of the Tyrone Borough?
Most of it is. I think most of the park is in Tyrone Borough. If you go up Reservoir Park where the pool is and stuff, for some of the houses, kind of dots in and out between Snyder Township and the borough. But like the pool, the hockey arena, the park itself, and stuff, or the pond, that's all in the borough.
And Steve, how about you and your activities? Does the hospital have activities?
Well, we try to support all the activities, and you know, as Sue was going through that list of activities, I was thinking how much effort goes into them. There's an incredible amount of social and community events that goes on in Tyrone. I'm so impressed, and it's almost every weekend anymore. There's something going on, some activity in the community. The Rotary, the Kiwanis, Joshua House, the events and visitors group, the chamber. It's just an impressive group, and I'm thinking of the hospital and how I'm trying to support all these activities, and I'm thinking of the resources that we need to put into all that. It's an impressive effort that Sue and all of her committee members and everybody does. It takes so much to coordinate those, and I'm trying to find ways. You know, the hospital has come from some dark days, and we're trying to get involved in the community, and I want to do more and more with the resources that I have to support it.
Well, the funny part is now we have to start looking at dates when something else large isn't going on in town, and we have to, jog around those dates because there's so much going on that there might not be a available weekend for us to offer a new activity.
Yeah, like I said, it's such the community is so alive in Tyrone, and I don't think it was like that 5 or 10 years ago. Yeah. And Jim can probably attest to that. There's so much positive. We did some strategic planning a few years ago, and the biggest thing as far as the strength that came out was the football team. But today, I think that would be so different because there's so many positive strengths in that community. The business climate is good. There's a lot of strong industry up there. The hospital's strong again. The Joshua House and the chamber and all the community. The borough, we have great borough leadership with the chief and with Mayor Fink. So I think there's so many positive things going on in Tyrone now that the future is just unlimited.
Well, I think one of the things that's exciting to me too is that my neighbors are all people I grew up with. They're moving back home, and they see the value in coming back home and being part of our community. And so we're getting leadership from those people that are coming back to the area. So that's exciting to me too.
Pennsylvania has become a retirement state. Mm-hmm. We've got great laws and tax laws for senior citizens, and I too am amazed at the number of people that move back. And the interesting thing is that people in my age remember Tyrone when it was a very bustling community. There was a lot of activity. The train stopped there. In fact, does the passenger train still stop there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're in State College and you want to get on a train, you go to Tyrone. That's right. Doesn't that? I mean, right. I had an aunt coming from New York City, and she said, "I'll be getting off in Tyrone. I'm going to State College." And I thought, why? And then it dawned on me: State College doesn't have a train station, and so you get off in Tyrone. And we were talking earlier about that gorgeous view from the old railroad station as the trains round that bend and the river's there, and if you haven't visited Tyrone, I'm going to repeat myself. Go and drive through the town. Stop in one of the little stores. Say hello to people. You're probably going to know some of the same people because we were all raised in very small communities. And that's wonderful. And Jim, how about the Joshua House activities? What are you guys doing?
Well, our summer's super busy. We had 9 different summer camps that impacted 130 different kids this past summer, and then we do our Hoops Fest. As I said, it's a big event, very big event. We drew people from 7 different states, and that's a big deal. But then as we go into the fall and through the school year, we have after-school hours. We started a wellness race series, so we want people to get healthy. And as people get healthy in our community, it changes the mindset and the attitude. So then we work with the hospital and different organizations with that. We provide athletic events for kids. We provide the academic support for them. We know for these kids that as they emerge and come through the ranks, to be successful in life, they have to have an education. And we want to help see these kids graduate, be first-time high school graduates in their family. Over the years, it's been an amazing thing to be able to see a young person graduate high school and be the first one in their family, then go on to college and graduate college. And the amazing thing is then we have been able to see some of these young people come back full circle and help us out. And I think of a young man that barely made it out of high school, was partier, was asked to leave Penn State Altoona because of grades and everything else. And then as he went back and he got his life back in order, he became a tremendous young man, and now he's one of our main leaders with these kids. He's a football coach now, and just you go down the list, and I'm in awe of that. And why we can do that is because of the support of Operation Our Town. Why we can do that is the support of our community organizations. So I'm very appreciative.
Jim, I'm in awe of each of you and what you've been able to contribute back to the community. We often talk about giving back, and we talk in terms of money, but time is just as important, and dedication just as important, and I guess love is just as important. You all seem to love the communities that you represent. That's fantastic. We're going to come back in just a minute, and we're going to talk some more about Northern Blair County.
Operation Our Town is reaching out to groups in our community every day, helping groups like The Rock. The Rock is a nonprofit organization hosted by the United Methodist Church in Altoona. They received a grant in 2009 from Operation Our Town to help fund their program.
Operation Our Town has been essential to our growth and basically our survival.
The Rock program runs every Wednesday evening and provides a safe, fun environment for school-aged children.
My favorite part about the Rock program is just being here with friends and learning about different things every week.
Children attending the program participate in after-school activities and are fed a warm, home-cooked meal every night. Operation Our Town's goal is to take back our neighborhoods and to create community-minded citizens for a better tomorrow.
I'd like to talk to Steve Gildea now about the hospital in Tyrone. Steve, a couple years ago, there was a lot of news in the paper about the hospital and the problems. What's happening now at the Tyrone Hospital?
Well, Dean, there's been quite a turnaround at Tyrone Hospital. Over the past 3 years, we've pretty much rebuilt the hospital. It's a very, very high-quality hospital now. A lot of great physicians I was fortunate to be able to bring into the community. A lot of great nursing staff that we've built on. The quality is outstanding now. It's a great hospital. And what we're trying to do now is build upon that. We recently, about a year ago, a surgeon came to us, and he's a breast cancer surgeon. And we've, working with him, he's opened the Breast Cancer and Women's Health Institute of Central Pennsylvania. And we have breast cancer patients coming from all over the state now, all over the region, to see Dr. David Arbatina at this Breast Cancer Institute. So Tyrone, like in the old days, it was a destination point for travelers, I think. Now it's becoming a destination point for healthcare. We also are trying to get involved, Jim mentioned trying to get more of a healthy focus, a wellness focus. We're trying to be a little more on the forefront of that in healthcare. The country needs to find a way to take care of all of us baby boomers as we get into the age where we need more health care. And one of the ways that we're going to see the country moving to take care of that is through prevention and through healthy living and healthy lifestyles and wellness and fitness. And so we're actually changing the focus of our hospital more from an acute care aspect to more of a health and wellness aspect. We're going to start calling our campus, which is, it's a beautiful campus up in Tyrone, the hospital campus. We're going to start calling it a health and wellness campus. We're working, we're going to work with Joshua House and the school district and Northern Blair Rec. We're going to start to try and put in wellness and fitness programs, diabetes education, classes in yoga and Zumba, all these popular classes today. We're going to start offering them on campus in a small fitness center that we're going to build in a new building that's going up on campus. So we're trying to take a proactive approach in starting to prevent illness and keep people healthy in the future through health and wellness activities.
I know your father, Steve, and I'm sure he's very proud of what you've been able to do down there, and it's great to have you working in that community. How has Operation Our Town helped you in these efforts?
Well, it's helped us get connected with the community. All the events we talked about, with all the events from the activities the Borough Police are embarking upon to what Jim is doing with Joshua House and Sue, and we both work with the Chamber and with the Events and Programs Committee. I think that's what we're calling the Merchants Committee now. So we're getting more actively involved with the community. And Operation Our Town, as Jim indicated earlier, is kind of a central focal point for all of these activities. We're all coming together in a very positive way to create a very positive environment in the community. So it's helped the hospital as we've rebuilt and we've become, solvent and viable again. It's helped us become more active in the community and developing and creating a positive community atmosphere.
That's a wonderful idea, the wellness. And I am always amazed at young people when I look at them and I see that they have stretched out their earlobes or that they have tattoos all over their arm. And I guess this is a sign of how old I am. I always thought that my body was like the only thing that I owned, and I didn't want any graffiti on it, and I didn't want to do anything to make it any worse than it was. And so I often wonder, what influences a young person to want to do things like that? And I really do think it's a lack of education as to what the potential is. For even I see people with things stuck in their nose, and I think, isn't there a risk of disease or something with those? And I think the education aspect of that is really terrific, and certainly something we all need and want.
Yeah.
I don't know who the young people, John, who do you think young people's role models are today?
Well, I think it depends where you're at in America and out there. I think a lot of them look to, sports people who are involved in sports, football players, basketball players and stuff. I think they look at them as role models. I think some of them look to their teachers and stuff from school and stuff as role models and stuff that have inspired them and out there. I think it just depends. There's so many different views the kids look at today. I think definitely years ago it definitely was all sports figures, but I think it's kind of migrated to different figures throughout the
Wouldn't
years.
it be nice if their role model was the bicycle policeman in their neighborhood?
Well, that's the concept of getting the bicycles out on the street with the kids, going to like the playgrounds where the elementary kids are, the preschool and stuff, and talking to them, talking about bike safety. The kids that are 3 and 4 years old and stuff, are developing that rapport between the kids and stuff. That's important, and maybe one day they will become a police officer.
We've been talking about Operation Our Town, and I think from the conversation, each of you who have contributed or should be contributing to Operation Our Town understand the importance of everyone's involvement. This isn't a battle of just the police department or someone working with young people or the DA or the hospital. This is, for all of us, the challenge. Sue, if you could change one thing in the future, what would it be?
I think I would change. I would work on self-esteem with children. I would work on their confidence and role models, and I would start work. I think that we need programs in the schools. I think that we need. It takes a village, and I would put my efforts in working with the young.
I'll tell you, along that note, we started a program the last couple of years called Kids in Motion, and it's focused on young girls, and it is all about self-esteem. It's about their wellness and their health, but it is about self-esteem. And if we can educate them and train them and raise them up in a way that they're going to be confident and they're going to be directed in a specific way, then we have a much better chance of moving and be much more successful. And that's what we want to see, and it's a good place to go.
I'm sure. And Steve, if you could change anything in the future, what would you like to see happen?
Well, those things are exactly right on target, and we're going to focus on activities like Kids in Motion to target childhood obesity. We started an initiative several years ago trying to do community health programs, and we're going to work with Jim and Joshua House and the local school district to try and do more and more to try and focus on. We have a high incidence of diabetes in this region, and a lot of that originates in how they're raised, the children, how they eat, and the childhood obesity that occurs through that. So we're going to try to focus on very positive health and wellness again activities.
Wonderful goal. I should be focusing more on that. John, tell me, if you could change something in the future, what would it be?
I think it'd be to getting kids, the younger generation, more involved in this stuff, or getting them educated, showing them there are alternatives and stuff to criminal behavior. And like I said, they can start out, they can make mistakes in life and stuff, and they still can be a responsible person down the road. There isn't, it's always not the end game. They can make something, but as I said, they have to have the esteem, and they got to want to do it. You can't force them to do it. They have to want to do it for themselves. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to encourage each of these people are involved in helping our younger people to become better citizens. I'm going to ask that people my age and my generation get involved. Call the Joshua House, call the hospital and say, how can I I'm sure you're looking for volunteers. I'm sure you can always use volunteers. And as I said earlier, people my age are just sitting looking out the windows, and that's not fair to us because we still do have something to offer. We just don't know how to do it. So don't try and guess and don't try to figure it out. Call these people and say, what can I do to help? And I'll bet they find something for you to do, and I'll bet it will be one of the most rewarding things you've done in years. You're going to feel good, just like I feel good, hearing their stories, what they've given back, what the community of Northern Blair County has become, and what it can become in the future. I thank you very much for watching. This has been another edition of Taking Back Our Neighborhoods. Join you next time. Thank you.